functioning in that environment for some time. The good news is that Nevada County has done a great job of protecting ourselves and our residents. And because of that, we've been able to move forward. As you know, Monday morning, we moved into phase 2, and already by Tuesday evening, we've been approved for the later stages of phase 2, meaning some restaurants are able to open up for dine-in, and a number of other businesses are also able to open. I want to thank the community for doing such a great job at keeping us safe that made it possible for us to move in this direction. What's important now is that we keep maintaining that safety around us. County staff and chambers of commerce are currently out right now working with our businesses to give them the advice they need and to make sure they're working to keep their employees safe and their customers safe. While the guidance that's come out from the federal government, from the state, and from our own county can be confusing, there are a couple of things that are very clear. Those are that we must continue to maintain safety standards and follow the guidelines that have been put out for businesses. Employees need to be protected with face masks, with disinfecting areas, and with 6-foot distancing. Customers should be doing the same, wearing face masks if they can in public areas, maintaining 6-foot distances, and washing their hands when they get home. So let's keep this going, folks. The better we do at this, the more likely we are to be able to stay in phase 2 and keep a sustained business economy going and move into phase 3. So let's do our great job. Let's stay vigilant, and let's see how this all works. And now I'd like to turn it over to Vice Chair Dan Miller. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. I'm Dan Miller. I'm District 3 Supervisor, and my district really encompasses all of Grass Valley, and you'll be hearing from Grass Valley Mayor Lisa Swarthout in a second. My comments are about small businesses in our community, small businesses which are typically a result of a dream or a vision of a local community members. And you know the small business owners. They're your friend, your neighbor. Maybe you went to school with them. Maybe you sit next to them in church. Locally owned businesses can pass from generation to generation. Hills Flat Lumber, B&C Hardware, Reeby's, Plaza Tire, SPD Markets, Williams Stationery. They can be here for years like Sereno's or Mal Paint and Glass. But small businesses need customers to come in the doors. They need the revenue to pay the rent, pay insurance, pay for the inventory on their shelves, and pay their employees. But beyond that, they need the income to pay their own home mortgages or rent, pay for groceries and the many other household expenses to survive the shutdown. They have been using retirement accounts to cover the bills and continue to pay employees who aren't working. They're making huge sacrifices. They're taking out home equity loans and cashing in their 401ks. We need to support them when they reopen. They need our prayers. Small businesses need to stay open. Fortunately, with the efforts of our county staff and our community's willingness to comply with the governor's order to close down all non-essential businesses, we were able to move quickly into the second phase of stage 2. But we need to do more. We need our movie theaters, our churches, beauty salons and barbershops, our hotels and bars to reopen and put their employees back to work. Our economy needs to fully reopen, and we can't do that until all our small businesses have their doors open. Hopefully, we can move through stage 2 and into stage 3 in a shorter period of time, and all the doors to local businesses will be open in our community. We have been told that it will not be business as usual when our local stores open. We have been told that it will be a new normal. I would characterize it more as a chapter in a book. This isn't the whole story. We have hope for our future. Unfortunately, for some of our small businesses, this is the last chapter, and that makes this, to me, a sad story. I'd like to introduce now Grass Valley Mayor Lisa Swarthout.
Thank you, Dan. I really want to take the opportunity and thank the county for including the cities and the town of Truckee today, because I think it's really important as we go through this as a community that we speak with one voice, that we're all on the same page on what's going on in the community and how we're going through the stages of reopening. Dan covered much of my sentiment as far as how small business operate and what is happening right now with our small businesses. So Grass Valley is on the way to reopening. I would say probably half of our businesses have opened, and in the next week we'll have maybe another quarter of them open. So as Dan said, it's really important at this time to get out there and support the small businesses. And life has changed for all of us. Life has changed for our retail folks, for our restaurant folks, for all the people who work in our community. And I would ask people when they're out there shopping to be kind and to be patient, because what's going to happen right now is there's going to be a big rush. Everybody's been locked in their homes for the last 2 months, and there's going to be a big rush to get out there and to shop and to dine out and just to kind of take care of some business things that you haven't been able to do. So because of the safety precautions that are in place right now, we all need to be very aware of how we treat one another. And like I said, with kindness and with patience. You might have to wait a little bit longer in line at a store. You might have to wait a little longer for that reservation for your favorite restaurant. But our businesses are open. They're willing to serve. They're willing to do whatever it's going to take to get their customers back into their businesses. So again, you know, to reiterate the sentiment from Heidi, we've done a great job in this community of keeping our cases low. People have done what is asked of them. So the reward today is that some of our businesses will be able to start selling products again, making a living. For many of them, this is a life and death situation. If they do not move forward and open and start doing some business, many of them won't be here in the future. So please do the best that you can to get out and support the local cities and town and all of our businesses and all of Nevada County, because we are counting on everybody coming back strong. This chapter it's not over. Let's say chapter 10 right now, 10 weeks, but we will be back, and I believe that the spirit of our community will be back very strong. So thank you. And now I would like to introduce the mayor of Truckee.
Hi, everybody. Thanks very much. I assume you can hear me okay. First, I wanted to start out by very much extending our thanks to the county for such diligence and really proactive guidance during this crisis. They've been a great partner along with all of the other cities, both Nevada City and Grass Valley, so thank you very much. Everything that was spoken before is very much true for the town of Truckee, and I was going to run you through a little bit of our process of how we got to the reopening plan that we're executing on today. The town, our chamber, and the Downtown Merchants Association, we all co-hosted a series of business sector focus groups that included our restaurants, retail, outdoor recreation, and lodging. We expect to do at least 3 more of these focus groups over the next 2 to 3 weeks to continue these preparations. In addition to the focus groups, we conducted a business survey to gauge how our businesses are doing and how they're beginning to plan for reopening, and we received 162 responses. These discussions and responses have encouraged collaboration, everyone working together to find unique solutions to support the businesses and start to open up while we implement these safe protocols. We're supporting these efforts through the town with a temporary town-wide suspension of certain outdoor business activity restrictions. This allows our businesses to be creative in using the outdoor space around their buildings as an extension of their indoor activity. Our town team will even be out talking to businesses directly and helping to answer their questions as they embark on this reopening process. Business leaders from our local natural food store and hardware stores that were able to remain open throughout this crisis have really been invaluable supporters and provided operational input to the rest of the business community as we all prepared for this. And at this time, most of our retail and restaurants have actually not reopened, and they're really working on their plans and policies, opting to take a cautious, thoughtful, and balanced approach to see what's going to work for them as they move in this direction. But I do want to echo everybody that came before me and just let you know that it is all about compassion, patience, and working together as we all work to get through this. So thanks very much, and thanks again to the county for having us.
Great, thank you everyone. At this time, we're going to open it up for Q&A with our media partners and taking a few questions from social media as well. So the first one is both for the counties and the cities. Any stats on businesses permanently closing? I'll let, looks like Mayor Lisa Swarthout from Grass Valley will step up and talk about that.
So no statistical information yet on businesses that are permanently closing. From our discussions with our business community at this time, I have not spoken to a single person who has said that they are going to close their business, in particularly in the downtown area. We've also, in Grass Valley, obviously downtown is a very important part of our community, but we're also responsible for all the shopping centers that are in the county, and we've been working diligently with them to make sure that they're getting the same kinds of information and coverage. And as far as I know, there's one business that closed, I believe Jim Boy's Tacos closed. They have a for lease sign on. But we're very confident that as we work through stage 2 and businesses get open and the community supports them, people will slowly start coming back. So the retail and the restaurant world is very fluid, and you see businesses opening and closing all the time. So when you see that, it's not always necessarily going to be because of the COVID-19. People make changes and retire and just kind of move on. So, but at this point, I have not had anybody tell me that they are going to be closing their businesses.
One more for you, Mayor Swarthout, on that as well, and it's related to the first question. So do our cities, do you have an estimate of what part of your economy might be reopening with in-store retail and restaurants, how that reopening might impact your city?
So one of the fortunate things in Grass Valley is that most of the essential services that have been allowed to stay open throughout this are located in the city of Grass Valley, the grocery stores, the hardware stores, the drug stores. So we've maintained some of our retail base throughout all of what has been going on. I would say if I just had to guesstimate, because we haven't looked at it at percentages, I'm hopeful that we're going to see about 75% of our economy and our businesses opening up in the next week under this new stage 2B that we're calling it. But just because they're open does not mean that they're going to be back up to the normal amounts of business that they're doing. That is going to take some time. And again, it goes back to shop local, stay local. I understand the Galleria is opening next Friday in Roseville. I would hate to see a bunch of our community people leave town to shop and kind of forget about their local homegrown businesses that support the community and the nonprofits and what makes this place so great. And not just Grass Valley, but Nevada City and Truckee as well. So
Thank you.
AlisonLehman, County Executive Officer. So I'll speak to the unincorporated areas. We're not aware of businesses that are closing, but we are aware that businesses are struggling. We're seeing businesses being resilient and changing their business model and also taking advantage of the federal relief that's coming down. I also want to bring attention to all of our businesses in Nevada County that there is a Nevada County Relief Fund applications for microgrants for small businesses as well as nonprofits was released yesterday, and that information could be found at nevcorelief.org.
Great, thank you, Allison. I'd like to see if the town of Truckee would like to chime in at all here. I know you guys sent a survey out recently about your local economy and local businesses.
Yeah, thank you. We have not heard of any businesses closing at this point. Obviously, I think it is a bit early for that. So, as you know, we'll keep tabs on that as best we can. Our restaurants have been very slow to move into in restaurant service. Many of them are continuing on the takeout path to see really what the temperature of the community is going to be and how many customers they're looking to have. I do know of one, Jack's on the Tracks, one of our downtown restaurants is, as of today, ready to go and will be accepting in-restaurant customers, so that's great. And they told me they reduced their seating by almost 60% in order to get to where they wanted to be, so that's great news on the restaurant front. And from the retailers, it's a little bit slower, steadier, but I think we'll start to see a significant number of openings over the next week or two, especially as we head into the Memorial Day weekend.
This is Jeff Lutz, the town manager. Perhaps I could add just two pieces of information similar to Allison's. In our survey, we did ask a question, how long could you stay closed before you went out of business? And we did get quite a few businesses saying about 2 to 3 months was their kind of outside limit, 6 months in some cases. And we're well within that, so that's very good news. The second thing is we also have a fund up here similar to Nevada County's, and thank you for Nevada County for catalyzing your fund. It's called the Sierra Resiliency Fund. The town catalyzed it with some dollars, as did the Chamber of Commerce, and they've been actively giving away microloans, I believe up to $2,500 to businesses in need for the last 10 days or so. So seems to be working and the demand's there.
Great, thank you all. Another question for our cities and our county. So how are we helping to reopen businesses safely? If any city would like to touch on that, or one of our elected officials.
Yeah. And if you'd like us to, we could mention something quickly, but we've been working, like I was saying, with our Chamber Downtown Merchants Association, and so we have a variety of tools available, coupled with all of the work that the county's put together. And we have a team of town staff, mostly from the Planning and Public Works Department, who will literally be going out to as many businesses as they can today and early next week to help them with the reopening guidelines and explain any confusion that's happening out there. So taking a proactive approach with our town staff to really see, make sure we can answer all the questions, and that seems to be the biggest point of confusion for many business owners right now.
Yes, good morning. I'm Molly Dick, the Assistant County Executive Officer for the county, and I really want to thank the cities and the town and their partnership with the county to assist all of those businesses. So as mentioned before, the cities and town are dedicating their staff to help businesses, as well as the chambers of commerce and the downtown associations and the other business associations that serve our community. So they've all been out distributing guidance, answering questions, and helping businesses. From the county's perspective, we've really been focusing our staff efforts on helping restaurants. So our environmental health department regulates restaurants. They have relationships with all of our food facilities, and we've been sending staff since Tuesday out to every restaurant in Nevada County and in the cities to help those restaurants understand what their plan needs to entail and what their best practices are in order to reopen. So we'll continue that work. We've really focused on guidance for our stage 2 businesses so far. We'll be continuing to move down that path and adding in the stage 3 businesses and helping them plan as we get closer to that point in reopening. And we'll just continue to add additional resources to the county's website as we move through this process. I do want to draw attention to the county's website. We do have many business resources on the website, including signage that businesses can just print and put up, as well as templates for the plans that they need to put in place, and lots of guidance, both local that we've developed with the county, as well as the state's guidance, and that continues to evolve. And so I encourage people to continue to check back at that website for additional information. And I'm going to invite up our Environmental Health Director, Amy Irani, to touch on anything else that she wants to talk about regarding restaurants.
Great, thank you. And Amy, while you're up here, another question for you that's related. Do you have to certify every restaurant before they reopen? And what do they have to do other than social distancing? What about non-restaurants?
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Amy Irani, Environmental Health Director. So to touch on a little bit of what Molly was talking about, we do have some documentation. We've created some fillable forms for you to utilize to make it very simple. In your process of assessing a risk plan for reopening your food facility, one of the major important things to remember is that you want to work with your employees that are returning You want to utilize the employee assessment and training protocol. Make sure that you're monitoring for signs of illness or any other complications your employee may have. You want to set up your social distancing protocols before you open your doors. So again, look at your footprint. Figure out how you can safely do that, how many customers you can have at a time. You may want to set up a new reservation protocol where you have people come at certain times where you can control that environment much better. And then again, as you get open, in Western Nevada County, we have approximately 200 dine-in food facilities. And as of yesterday, we had gotten through 85% of those, at least reaching out, dropping off paperwork and trying to make contact. So if you're one of those folks that received a packet left at your facility, give us a call. That's 265-1222-530 area code, option number 3, or you can also email us at env.health@co.nevada.ca.us and we'll get right out there with you. So again, our folks that have been open doing the carry out and doing the to-go have been doing a fantastic job, and they're easily transitioning into opening the doors, but they want to be safe about it. So you're going to see a gradual opening that happens over the next week. And then to address the question that Taylor had posed, do you have to wait for us or do you have to have us certify you? No. What we want to see is that you have the guidance documents in play, you've got your social distancing plan, you've got your cleaning and disinfection plan in place, you've got mask and protective gear for your employees. A couple of businesses, and this is a great idea, didn't want to have masks, they wanted face shields so that your customers could see their smiling faces, which I think is a great idea. And then again, if you're having concerns, we want you to reach out and get your own mask or personal protective equipment, but I am also keeping a log of folks that are having difficulty obtaining those, and then we're working with our OES department or division to figure out how we can help facilitate. Not saying that we will, but if there is some resource, we will send that forward. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Amy. The next question will be for our Office of Emergency Services Program Manager, Paul Cummings. As the county works through reopening and starting to see some of our in-store retail and dining reopen, what is the county doing around recreation, and are there any updates around campgrounds and when we might see them open?
Yeah, thanks, Taylor. Excuse me. My name is Paul Cummings. I'm the Nevada County Office of Emergency Services Program Manager, as Taylor said. So I personally can't give any updates today on what our campgrounds are doing. I would, in fact, recommend that you go check out those websites for the Tahoe National Forest, NID, and the state parks. But what I will say is that we've been working closely with Placer County to work through what we're calling a safe summer recreation plan. And so in that, we've brought together land managers and stakeholders from, like I said, the federal parks, state parks, and our public utility districts. Brought them together. We're having twice-a-week Zoom meetings with facilitated by myself, and then there's another individual from the CEO's office down in Placer, Aaron Casey, to focus on the problems that these groups are facing. Really with the main tenet of encouraging COVID-safe behavior from the public while remaining aligned with our state's and local health officer guidance. This group is, we've also got individuals from the Sheriff's Department and fire departments for the public safety and enforcement side of things there.
Great, thank you, Paul. Our next question will be for our Chief Fiscal Officer, Martin Polt. What are the budget implications due to loss of revenue, sales tax, and TOT? And then we have a secondary question. What is the status of county facilities that someone from our CEO team can take?
Thanks for that question. This is Martin Polt, the Chief Fiscal Officer for the county. So as far as budget impacts of COVID-19, we have been looking very closely at those impacts on sales tax, transient occupancy tax, and a number of other economically sensitive revenues, such as building permit activity. And certainly there is going to be a big impact on Nevada County, and we're moving that forward into action. So we're looking at probably a $12 to $25 million impact on the county, and that's going to hit us both in the current year, 1920, as well as 2021. And again, a lot of departments are going to be impacted as well as the general fund. So we have been planning for that, and we certainly looking at vacancies, looking at other discretionary expenditures, and really putting the rein on certain expenses while maintaining various objectives of the county. Obviously, we need to be very vigilant in being able to respond to COVID and have people work at home and have technology available. We also have board objectives that we need to meet, such as wildfire, homelessness, and housing. We want to maintain those objectives and be able to respond to those. So we're definitely balancing our reductions in expenditure, looking at our reductions in revenue with trying to maintain core services and board objectives.
Great, thank you, Martin. For AlisonLehman, stage 2 includes reopening of office spaces. What is the status of county facilities?
So AlisonLehman, County Executive Officer, and I also welcome our Town Manager, Tim Kieser, as well as Jeff Loux, to provide additional comments, because I just want to reiterate that your local government continues to be hard at work. We continue to provide core services, everything from building and to support our construction industry to keeping our community safe through our law enforcement. Our social services demands are increasing, and our county facilities continue to be open to serve those who need those services. Our buildings at the Root Center never shut down. Our doors remain open. However, we are telecommuting with staff. We have working in shifts, and we're really encouraging the public to take advantage of all the automation that we have available to continue with your services. So you could go to the county website to find out more information, and feel free to give us a call to give us a better understanding of what's needed. And I'd like to lean on Tim Kieser if you make any comments around the city of Grass Valley, as well as Jeff Loux from Truckee.
Good morning, Tim Kieser, the city manager for the city of Grass Valley. Real quickly, we have kept our City Hall basically closed to the public and moved everything online in an effort to assist folks, especially when our utility billing and those kind of things. We are waiving late fees and working with people to do payment plans and those kind of things, because we do understand it's a very tough time. Other than that, all of our services are fully open internally, and externally, of course, our police, fire, public works are doing their jobs in a modified duty and keeping things moving forward for the public. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Tim. Truckee?
Yeah, Jeff Lutz, Town Manager, Town of Truckee. Pretty much the same, I think, message as both County and Grass Valley. Town Hall remains closed. Our Courtyard building remains closed to the public. We'll probably continue remote meetings, such as council meetings and planning commission meetings, through May. We may partially open up council meetings as of June in the sense of no public being in the council chambers, but council members themselves can social distance quite easily in that room, and a handful of staff. Our services are all available. They've been available from day one. We are still working almost exclusively remotely, with the exception of those people like police officers and public works people who are out in the field. Although we are now beginning a plan, probably starting next week, where we may start platooning a few small groups of people into Town Hall, just because the coordination efforts between, for example, planning and engineering require a little bit more interaction, perhaps, than we've been able to do with remote. But we're going to continue largely working remotely into the near future. But all services down in Truckee are open. Like Tim, we have a number of, we're trying to allow building permits to stretch out, things like that. We're trying to be understanding of people's difficult situations. But it's not business as usual, but it's business.
Great, thank you. We're going to wrap up here with a final few questions for our public health officials and Health and Human Service Agency about next steps in the reopening process, and some questions about stage 2 versus stage 3. So first one, Exactly how far ahead of the state are we in Nevada County, and what is the next step in the reopening process?
Thanks, Taylor. Jill Blake, Nevada County Public Health Director. Can you repeat that one more time? How far we are ahead of the state and?
What are the next steps? What the next steps might be in the reopening process?
Thank you. So I would say that we are actually really well aligned with the state. I wouldn't say we're ahead of the state. We are ahead of some counties in that we have a low enough incidence of disease in Nevada County to allow us to advance through stage 2, unlike some other counties who are unable to do so. But we are perfectly aligned with the state. And the state health officer, as well as the governor, have announced that we will, as a whole state, move from stage 1 into from stage 2 into stage 3. So what we can do to get from stage 2 to stage 3 is to remain vigilant. As Supervisor Hall mentioned earlier, we all have to be good stewards of these practices that we continue to recommend. Businesses have to do their part to keep themselves and their customers and their employees safe. It's going to take a community-wide effort to keep that disease incidence low so that we can indeed advance from stage 2 to stage 3.
Great, thank you. Do you anticipate, or has there been any conversations with the state about additional phases in stage 2 or any discussion about variances in stage 3? Have we gotten to that point yet?
No, we haven't gotten there yet. Excuse me, but I would like to say that I believe that the state as a whole has been very responsive to counties as counties make arguments, for example, moving from categorizations of businesses from essential to risk. So in stage 2, we have low risk businesses that are opening. Stage 3 are higher risk businesses. To my knowledge, there is no anticipation of including those stage 3 businesses in stage 2. Again, they're focusing on risk and abiding by that.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. With that will wrap up our press briefing. Thank you, everyone who tuned in online and asked questions. And we will see you next time.